Splitgate is one of my favorite games of this year. It has a really cool, interesting mechanic in its portals, and it's just something different from what we've had for the past few years. But I think there's one problem with it. So I'm going to take an example of two games, alright? Overcooked and Call of Duty. You see, both of these games are multiplayer games, but there's a core difference between them that in Call of Duty, you don't really have to communicate. I mean, you could just play by yourself if you want to. Even in games like Team Deathmatch, you don't ever really need to talk with your team. You have your own abilities, your own weapons, and you can just play by yourself. And then there's Overcooked. Again, a team game, except you have to communicate. If you don't communicate, you're just not playing the game effectively at all. Call of Duty popularized the three-lane symmetrical map design. A lot of people hate them for it, but I think that's the reason why people are still doing it. It's because it limits the number of ways people can move, and it forces players together and limits the kinds of engagements that they can get into. And this leads to more team play, I think, in my opinion, because you're always close to your teammate. And especially if you're on voice chat, it's much better because you can just directly talk to them as they're standing right next to you. Whereas in Splitgate, that's not how it works. In Splitgate, you just portal halfway across the map as soon as you spawn. And teammates can't look through your portals, which I think was intentional in order to reduce the amount of portal camping that's already huge in this game. But it also limits the team play. If you don't know where your teammate is, it kind of just becomes a single player game at that point. Now, I think of great multiplayer games as games where if you play with your friends or with voice chat, it actually makes the game better and not just make it more fun. Because let's be honest, playing with friends is always going to be more fun than just playing it alone. But does it actually make the game better? Which is true for games like Overcooked or Factorio. But I don't think it's very true for Call of Duty or Splitgate or actually any modern FPS games except a few like Valorant. Now I think I have a way to fix this issue, and it's by letting us look through teammate portals. Now I know that there's a reason for it, in order to curb portal camping, but I think it's important to have some team play in the game. Otherwise, it's just more of a single player game with bots, which isn't really as fun as an actual multiplayer game. Now, when I was recording this video, I realized if you want to play with friends, even though Splitgate has the issue of team play that I talked about, it is actually much better. And that's because of custom games. You see, custom games are just amazing. There are so many options, like you can change gravity, your health, how much damage your melee does, how much jetpack boost do you have, how much damage do you do, what weapons do you have, so on and so forth. And that is a much better experience than games like Valorant or even something like Minecraft. Now there was something interesting that I learned from the Splitgate Discord server, which by the way you should never go into if you value your mental health, and it's that the game actually has bots. Splitgate actually has lots of bots for I think around the first 5 levels, which is there so that you can actually learn the game. Because let's be honest, Cricket is a complicated game. The portal mechanic isn't really, something natural to players. So it makes sense that they have bots. But what's interesting to me is that I didn't know this at all. I was only at level 7 at the time, so I went and looked at the bots, see if I could figure it out. But no, everybody just felt like a normal actual player to me, which was weird. I mean, you hear so many people complaining about bots in video games, and then here I am playing with bots, and I didn't even know. And that brings me to the question, are players even necessary for multiplayer games? Are multiplayer games even actual PvP games? If you invite a friend, is that now a co op game or is it still a PvP game? At some point in the future, our game's gonna have such good parts that it's impossible to distinguish them. At that point, our game's gonna become better or worse. Will players even actually know if they're playing against real people? I mean, Forza has their drivatar AI driver thing, and most people don't really mind it. So does that mean that we're gonna have no problem at all with multiplayer games that aren't real multiplayer? Are games only just gonna be co-op nowadays? Is PvP just a thing of the past? And with that depressing thought, Goodbye.